Good evening, YouTube. The topic today is tune-up on a push mower. Does a tune-up include a carburetor job? No. The reason a carburetor job is not included in a tune-up is because a tune-up is a service that you are providing on a running, known good unit. Okay, a carburetor job is a repair that's being done on a unit that won't run. Okay, now in the midst of a carburetor job, we're going to change the spark plug, and we're going to probably put a fuel filter in it, or at least clean the fuel filter, depending on what the case is. If it's a built-in fuel filter that's cleanable, we're going to clean it, and we're going to clean the air filter and possibly replace the air filter too, because all this can lead to a bad carburetor. Speaking of carburetors, there is not very many parts in a carburetor that it causes a carburetor to go bad. 99% of your carburetor failures are due to bad gas. The butterfly valve or butterfly flap can be out of whack and not opening and closing properly. That can be bad. Your fuel solenoid can be bad. That can cause an electrical problem, which will keep the unit from starting. Okay, your throttle plate can be bad, can be out of whack and out of adjustment, needing to be readjusted or even replaced. Usually when these kind of things take place, you're replacing parts, either a fuel shut-off solenoid, or you're going to replace the carburetor because the flaps are bad, unless they can be readjusted without any problems. But basically, really, there's absolutely no parts that can just be replaced on a carburetor. They stop up. Carburetors are made out of a chunk of aluminum, and they're drilled and ported in different places, and which allows air to flow through them and to suck fuel through these ports. Okay, whenever those ports become stopped up, you have three different, sometimes more, but you have three different. Let's see if I can explain this properly. You have three different levels. You have an idle, you have a mid-range, and you have WFO. It's wide, full, open. Okay? If it won't start and run, it's usually in your choke and your idle adjustment, or your low speed jet. Okay? And you move up to your mid-range, which is about half throttle. When you're running at half throttle, if it won't, you got something stopped up in there. And if it won't run wide, full, open, or it backfires at wide, full, open, you're running too rich. Back up. If it's backfiring whenever you let off the throttle, it will not run wide, full, open. If it will not run wide, full, open, then you have a stopped up main jet. Alright. Now, cleaning a carburetor is more to it than just going in there and unstopping the jet, spraying a little bit of carb clean in there and calling it good. That is not cleaning a carburetor, people. Okay? The only way to clean a carburetor is to make it like brand new again. And there's only one way I know how to do it, and that's the old-fashioned way. And I soak my carburetors for 2 hours, minimum of 2 hours, in Berryman's carb dip. Alright? Yes, it takes time. Alright? From the time I take it apart, depending on what kind of carburetor it is, I'm going to take it apart right here on my tailgate. Take it apart, I'm going to put it in the carb vat and let it soak for 2 hours. hour and 45 minutes. By the time I get it out, I scrub it down with a toothbrush, and I put it in the hot water to boil. Yeah, boil. I sure do. I boil it in hot water. I boil it for 15 minutes, and then I take and drain all that water off of it and change the water and boil it for another 15 minutes, and then I blow it out with air and I shoot some carb spray through it and to make sure that there's no water left in it, and I put it together and I put it back on the unit, and you got 2.5 hours in that job. It's just the way it is. 2.5 hours. But it actually takes longer. Anyway, in the shop situation, you can clean 2 or 3 carburetors in a day, or even more. You clean as many as you want to, you know, but you need them lined up. And that's how mechanics make their money. Flat rates mechanics, they make their money like that in the shop. I can't make money like that out here on a mobile business. I have to charge you for a carburetor job. It's just the way it is. And my carburetor charges are 2 hours flat rate minimum, half hour for removal and replace them, and then I charge for any parts. Okay, if you got to have a fuel filter, I charge for that. If you got to have a spark plug, I charge for that. If you got to have an air filter, I'll give you the opportunity to go buy your own. But if I've got it on my truck and you want to buy it off my truck, then you're going to pay for the air filter. All right. So, I mean, what we're going to do here is check this lawnmower to see if it needs a tune-up or if it needs a carburetor job. What we're going to do here is check for 4 things. Suck, squeeze, bang, blow. Right. Pull this spark plug. By the way, this is a Pull Pro 500E, 5 horsepower, 140cc Briggs & Stratton engine. Spark plug is a little on the dirty side, but I think we can use it for demonstration purposes anyway. Okay, we'll check the gap on it. Should be between 30 and 36. That's usually a pretty good gap for just about any engine. That one was gapped way on the tight side. Let's see. That might be why it wasn't running whenever the customer did away with it. So let's take, and since I'm very unaware with this engine at all, let's do a spark test. I'm gonna ground it against this buffer so I can see it. Look at this dummy. Look at him. Oh, the engine brake's holding it. Oh, the engine brake's holding it. Look at the dummy. You gotta release the engine brake. Oh, look at the dummy. He done it again. Well, I was say that we got more problems than a worn spark plug. So let's have a look at the oil on this thing. Got somewhat new looking oil in it. It's the right level. Actually, it's got more oil than it should have in it. At this point, it's been sitting outside a little while. We'll tell them what it's been moving. So we need to check the flywheel and see if it's rusty. And we get it to turn fast enough. See if it had any spark to it.
Watch the dummy do it again. Watch him. Look at the dummy. Look at the dummy. Look at the dummy.
So, if you're going to do a tune-up on it, it's got to be running. Because the tune-up is the maintenance side. Alright? And to tune up a little old push mower, what you're going to do is you're going to drain the oil out of it. You're going to change the spark plug, put a new spark plug in it with a new gap on it. Change the air filter. And I'll pour a little bit of Berryman's B12 in them and allow it to, clean the carburetor a little bit like that. I call that a non-intrusive carb clean, and it will help it to run better. But carburetor job is just that. Cleaning a carburetor is just that. You can't spray just a little bit of carburetor cleaner in one and call it clean. That's not cleaning the carburetor. Okay? Because you've got some funky stuff inside that carburetor that's causing it not to run right. And I do mean some funky stuff. If you'll go look at my video that says I've got bad gas, now what? The title of it is I've got bad gas, now what? Then you go look at that and you'll see this is exactly what I'm talking about. There ain't no such thing as just a little water in your gas. You got to clean that whole carburetor, inside and out. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I'm fixing to tear into this lawnmower and see what's wrong with it. I may bring you back a little later. Bye.
So at this point, I was suspecting that the coil was rusted up against the flywheel. So I took the cover off of it and took a look at it, and sure enough, it was set too tight. I took some sandpaper, cleaned up the coil, and reset it, and there you go. Boom. story short, I don't work on a lot of push mowers because people just don't want to pay the money for it. Now, if I have a ride lawnmower and get over there and the customer asks me if I can work on a push mower for them, I will. I certainly will, and I won't charge them an arm and a leg for it. But if I'm going out there just to work on a push mower too, then yeah, I gotta charge them, just like I charge them for a ride lawnmower. That's the way it is. I do a church outreach for poor people, and I take push mowers and I redo them. I may take an engine off one, put it on a new deck, and or vice versa, and make a decent lawnmower and give it to some people that don't have a lawnmower. So uh, kind of works itself out in the long run. So I'm gonna bring it back right here and in this video, and then I'm gonna take this lawnmower and give it to some folks that don't have one, and they're gonna be very grateful to me and to the people that actually gave it to them. So if you actually gave me a lawnmower and told me to take it home with me, that's what I do with them. I don't try to sell them or anything else like that. It's all about doing God's work and making life easier on someone that's having a hard time. Thank you, guys. God bless. See? You know how easy that was? That was as easy as cleaning the spark plug, cleaning the magneto, resetting the magneto. It was set too tight and it was dragging.
Now, I did spray carb cleaner in it when we started. Let's see what it does This here is bent a little bit out of whack. I gotta fix that. Whack with a BFE, and now it's good to go again. Take this to my neighbor.
Call me today to book your appointment, 936-222-0936. Check me out on Facebook, YouTube, or the web at www.lonestarmobilemechanic.com. Or you can check out, or if you just need to inquire about my outreach or anything else, or you can check us out, our church out, Calvary Temple Assembly of God in Groveton, Texas, on Facebook Live. Thank you guys. Y'all have a good day and God bless.